Some more Winter Dome softball for you tonight. And the game will feature Hexx, the visitor, versus the Fat Kids. So game just getting underway here, top of the first. First hitter, Curtis Ostrom, drives it down the line, and it is foul. Had the distance, but was foul. We'll get to some quick rules. 60-foot bases, you can lead off, but you can't steal. 38 feet from the rubber to home plate, 6'12" on the arc. Pitcher gets a drag step, one step left, right, or back. Two fakes or hesitation. Third arm action has to be to deliver the ball home. A throw or a fake to a base is considered one of your fakes or hesitations. So this time he pops it up, shortstop goes back, and Santos Macho Soto makes the catch for out number one.
I can't lay out my number. Hey, what do you say? Too much. I love it. You've never left.
So that's how the game begins. Here's Nick Casanos. Nick takes that pitch for a strike. This is an all-turf surface here, short fences, 210 down the line, 235 to center. And Nick drives it to center. Going back is Scott Gates, a couple of feet in front of the 235, makes the catch. Short wall out there, about 3.5, maybe 4 feet tall. And as a result of that, we see a lot of ground rule doubles. Because of the short dimensions, you only get 4 home runs. So that brings up Al Rice. So we're underway here. Playoffs will start next week. And he just kind of hits a slow roller over to second, hustling down the line, but they just nip him. Second baseman, Alex Rodriguez, no relation to Yankee great Alex Rodriguez, made the play. So I don't know if this video maybe is a little jumpy tonight. I don't know if the cold weather outside is affecting that. But we got plenty of bars. It shouldn't really be doing that. So hopefully it's just buffering and it's going out a little smooth on the various channels. New scoreboard. So if you're tuning in, make sure you give me a little feedback. I can go back to the green one, as I was telling people last night, but this one does allow for the innings on there. And to make it a little easier to read, I put the teams in all caps. So leading off Scott Gates, then it'll be Santos Macho Soto and Brandon Molina, first 3 scheduled hitters. Playoffs are going to be Tuesday, Wednesday. Championship game Wednesday might be a little late. Might not start till 11. Scott Gates drills it, and third baseman knocked it down, can't recover. So Scott Gates hit a scorcher. Rob Scale got his hands up in self-defense, and the ball rolled about 15, 20 feet away, and Gates, who can run like a deer, easily beat it out. So here's Macho Soto. And Macho trying to go oppo, but way foul into the net. And of course, I forgot to talk about the roof, which comes into play the last couple of ball games I've done out here. The roof has been front and center on a couple of quirky plays that led to teams being able to push across the winning run. If it hits the roof in fair territory, it's live. If you catch it before it hits the ground, it's an out. If it hits the carpet, it's all you can get. And there's a line drive climbing the ladder at second base, Smokey Kruger. Smokey got up there and snagged it with his hands. Nicely done. About as thick as this paper, I think. He wanted enough, he got up more than an inch on it. So here's Brandon Molina. So the first two hitters have hit rockets. And there's another one, but right to Curtis Ostrom. Got there easily. Ball hung up a little bit. Might have got a little too much top hand. Got that top spin. And that'll bring up Matt Peckus. Of course, Brandon, Matt, Anthony Misek. They got some guys in their lineup with the little thump, as does Hexx. So I'd be surprised if we didn't see a couple, and that ball's going to be foul. So we're clipping right along. Not only do we have the playoffs here next week, the week after Christmas on Friday, Los Barachos softball league out at Intentional Sports is going to kick off. And we're going to be out there to show you some games. We also have an overnight tournament coming up in Aurora, co-ed mush. There's a long fly ball. Going back is Luke Lowry, and he makes the catch in center field. Up, I take that back. That was not Luke Lowry. So we head to the second. No score here. Got my teams mixed up there for a second. That was Brandon playing center for the Hexx Ball Club. So it's going to be Rob Scahill, Mike Greco, and Mikey Oliver here in the top of the second. So leadoff single. Fat Kids couldn't do anything with it in the bottom half. And Hexx looking for their first hit of the ball game. I think this new look Hexx team is going to be pretty good, I think. Picked up some sauce guys with high motors. And more importantly, good attendance, which seems to be the scourge in 16-inch softball. And Scahill, little ground ball, Rodriguez sits on it, makes the play. So the Fat Kids playing with 9 guys. They thought they had their 10th man, but he's a no-show, MIA. If he does come, he'll be able to go right into the lineup. And it's interesting because the missing guy is the short center. So big hole up the middle. Angelo Feliciano is going to have to make a point of getting back into that hole. So here's Mike Greco now. And there's a swing and a fly ball out to left. Going back is Molina. And he makes the play. Molina been playing a lot of left field out here in the dome. He's normally outdoors a center fielder. And that'll bring up Mikey Oliver. So quite a few sauce guys came over here, including Brian Sloan, Mikey Oliver. So they bolstered their numbers a little bit. And Mikey sweeps it toward the gap. Lowry does knock it down. It took a high hop, strong throw in. It keeps Oliver to a single. So 2-out base runner, first hit of the ball game for Hexx. It brings up Smokey Kruger. Smokey, kind of a jack of all trades. Can play pretty much anywhere on the infield can go to the outfield if you need him to. He's capable of hitting the ball all over the field. And there he tries to sweep it into right, and Lowry gets there. And that looked a little awkward. He planted that foot. I was a little worried he might twist a knee there, but nothing like young legs to get you past that. So, bottom of the second, still no score. Both teams only one hit so far. And that's going to bring up, I believe, Anthony Misek, Luke Lowry, and Angelo Feliciano. Again, we're in Rosemont, Illinois, in the Rosemont Dome. So here's Noach. And Noach goes hard off the roof. We've seen a couple of guys take big swings. Normally, with this 4 home run rule, teams try to wait till they get 1 or 2 guys on base before they try to go yard. And we've seen a lot of leads disappear because of the short dimensions, and you really don't want to waste a home run on a solo shot. Some of these big guys just can't help themselves, so they take the big hacks and the ball just gets out. And there's a nice humpback base hit for Noach, and that'll be the second hit of the ball game for the Fat Kids. A no courtesy run here. Should be Matt Peckus, but they run for Peckus as well. So Brandon Molina was the last batted out before that, so he'll step in there, leadoff man on.
Hey, Luke, let's go, Luke.
Here's Luke Lowry. Luke, a very young kid. And he slashes one up the middle. Kimmer got a hand on it, and now they throw behind him, and Molina steals a bag. Lowry, very alert, took second. Again, that's a play where you want to throw ahead of the runner. Molina did take a turn there. He saw the outfielder throwing to second. He just took off for third. Looked like the throw might have bounced into Scahill, and he couldn't scoop it and tag. Here's Angelo, and he hits one to Kimmer. Nice play, long throw in time, but it does score a run. So the Fat Kids take the first lead of the ball game here in the bottom half. And that was a real nice play by Kimmer going to his right. It was a long throw, and Lowry, normally when the ball gets hit in front of you, you don't go, but it was such a long throw. And Lowry, a fast kid, ended up getting into third. Still only one out here. Brings up Alex Rodriguez with Isaac Barbosa on deck. So if you're Joey Carbs, you don't want to walk anybody. And there's a little roller up the middle. Nick picks it up and throws. Second run does score. So the Fat Kids, after having second and third, nobody out, they do score those 2 runs, a couple of ground balls, and it brings up Isaac Barbosa. If I was a betting man, I would say 2's not going to be enough, and there's a little flare. Nick calls off Kimmer, whose first name, by the way, is Nick as well. And we're now going to head to the top of the third, 2-0 Fat Kids.
We're just talking about it.
It's going to be the catcher, Tommy, followed by Nick Kimmer, and then Brian Sloan. Brian will be doing the bulk of the pitching for Hexx this year, but they elected to start Joey Carbs tonight. But they kept Brian in the lineup as an EH. And Hexx actually hitting 12 tonight, which you're allowed to do here in the Dome. So after two fat kids leading in the ball game, Hexx been off to a little bit of a slow start. And Tommy hits a little ground ball over to short. Good strong arm by Macho Soto. And they get the hustling catcher at first. Of course, big news today. The White Sox traded Garrett Crochet for 4 of the top 15 prospects in the Red Sox lineup, or farm system, I should say. And there's a little ground ball by Kimmer. Brings up Brian Sloan. And the interesting thing is the last few years, Hexx's MO has been that they usually jump out of the gate hard, and then they tend to flatten out. And there's a swing and a base hit. So Brian Sloan, 2-out base hit. And I'll bring up the center fielder, Brandon, with Joey Carbs on deck. Angelo does a good job. He's gotten a little better, a lot sneakier and a little craftier. He's also a guy that will try to pick you off. And he's played with his brother, Anthony Misek. And there he tried to get Brandon to go Brighton on a fastball. And now on the full count, runner was going, a little short flare. Gates won't get there. It bounces off of him, and that's going to score a run. Good hustle there by Brandon to get into second. Hexx on the board. So a little flare there. It bounced, looked like off of his upper leg and spun away from the center fielder.
Brandon, you're scoring. Brandon, hit on anything. Score. Let's go.
And here's Richie Battistoni pinch hitting for Joe Carbs. High. Oh, and he dropped it. Brandon Molina got there. Looked like it was going to be an easy catch, and he just dropped it. And Richie's got big pop. It wouldn't surprise me now if he didn't try to go yard on this swing. And those are the kind of little mistakes a team makes that can really cost you. And Richie, Gates should have this one easily, and he does. So the drop does not play or become a factor there. They do pick up a run. We'll head to the bottom of the third, 2-1 now. Especially here in the Dome. Last night, pretty good ball game. And the Dummies got a huge break. They were leading. Actually, they were trailing, I should say. And it looked like their opponent was going to get out of the inning, and a ball hit the roof, and it dropped, and the next guy hit a bomb. And Dummies ended up winning 8-6. So top of the lineup, Scott Gates. And Scott goes big, but it brushes the roof, and it'll stay in. That ball looked like it was going to be up in the net. Curtis Ostrom was looking up like he thought it was gone, but it grazed the roof and came straight down. So Gates, towering fly ball a little too high. So here's Macho Soto. And he tries to go the other way up into the netting. Neither team through 2 1/3 have really scalded at that ball. Curtis makes a catch. That ball might have been out had Curtis not caught it. He was tippy-toeing near the fence, leaped up at the last moment, and made it look easy. So 2 balls that had shots at getting out don't. And Molina will hit with nobody on.
Hey, 2 strikes, 2 outs here, boys. Take a play, Nick. Here it goes.
And Joey Carbs did re-enter. And Molina drives it. If it's fair, it's gone, and it is fair. Brandon Molina tees up a solo, and he gets the run right back to restore the 2-run lead. And here's Peckus. First home run of the ball game, first for the Fat Kids. And I'll bring up Matt Peckus. And Matt certainly, we've seen him hit many home runs in this building. And there's a long one. If it don't hit the roof, it's going to get out, and it does. So the Fat Kids are burning solo homers here in the 3rd. Not quite sure how good of a strategy that is. Matt didn't even really hit that, but like I said, smallest dimensions that we play in, and that's just a product of the space limitations. And if Note should hit a 3rd home run in a row, no, he's just taking something off. I mean, Nick, this might be the first Fat Kids game you missed since you left Mudville. Yeah, I think today this will be my last game. Next week for the playoffs, we'll be doing multiple games. And I got to talk to Frank and see if he's only using one field. That makes it a little easier. And there's a little fly ball, Mikey Oliver for the 3rd out. But in the inning, 2 solo homers, 4-1 as we head to the top of the 4th inning here.
Let's go here. So we can keep the music going. Let's go.
So top of the lineup for Hexx, they trailed by 3 here in the top half of the 4th inning. Curtis Ostrom, Nick, and Al Rice. And I see Rory Okray is in the park. I think Rory got here a couple of minutes late, but knowing Richie, I'm sure he might get into the ball game. So here's Curtis Ostrom to lead off here. And he hammers it into left field. So we're in the part of the ball game now where guys are starting to get that second at-bat after kind of running around. And we've seen a lot of these low-scoring games all of a sudden turn into slugfest. I think if you're a Fat Kid fan, you're a little worried because you already used 2 homers. And Hexx has got their full complement. And depending what happens here, you might start seeing Al Rice try to go deep. Ground ball over to Soto. The return in time. So they turn the double play. One hopper back to Angelo. The shortstop, again, they're playing with 9, covered second base. And I like what Soto did there. He knew he had a little time, and he took his time and made an accurate throw. Last night we saw a couple of potential double play balls, and the short centers were airmailing it. And there's a ball, and can't make the play. So Isaac Barbosa, he got a nice belt tie hop, but he dropped it. Al Rice hustling out of the box. And Rob Scales got big pop as well. Let's see if Rob decides to tee one up here. And he hits it hard, just foul down the line. And that ball's going to roll for a while. So we might have to go into rain delay theater. So Scale hit that ball very hard, just couldn't keep it fair down the line. On the reset, hits it hard, and he gets it past Noach. That'll keep the inning alive. Rice gets to third. So a little 2-out rally after the double play brings up Mike Greco. Home run here ties it. And the off-season rumors were that there were a couple of, at least one that I was aware of, major team, and there's a high fly ball the other way. Gates circles the wagons and makes the play. So little 2-out threat goes by the board. They don't score. Halfway through, Fat Kid's in control. So as I was saying, in the off season, the rumor was one of the big major teams was targeting Mike Greco as they were trying to get a little younger at first base. And Mike elected to come back here to the Hexx group. And Mike is still learning, good hands, very solid defensively. Showing flashes with the bat, just needs to become a little more consistent. So here's Luke Lowry now. And Luke, a young kid, relatively new to the game, but he's progressing nicely. Nick Kimmer, and that'll pull him off. And Luke thought about going to second, but now he comes back. And that's what speed will do. Luke runs very well. Kimmer had to go to his right. Tried to catch and throw in one motion, was a little flat-footed. Ended up throwing a screwball to first. Here's Angelo. And Angelo strokes it. Smoke over to second. The relay. That's awful pretty stuff there, folks. Very fast Luke Lowry. Smoke Kruger showing you there. He caught and rotated, threw an absolute strike, and Nick poured it over. So both teams have a double play, and it brings up Alex Rodriguez. So that was a pretty slick double play there. And Hexx is going to have a solid infield. And there's a little flip base hit. So Alex Rodriguez throws a hit into center. And it brings up Isaac Barbosa.
Hey, anything you want to do, Twos? Get the batter.
Now Alex runs pretty good with 2 outs. He should be moving. And there he flips it into right, and Mike Oliver called it safe. They said that he didn't secure the ball. He actually kind of overran it, went into a slide, and the ball was by his back hip. And as he hit the carpet, there was a little bit of a bobble. Umpire felt it hit the turf. So top of the lineup and Scott Gates, Fat Kids, after the double play, doing exactly what Hexx did, threatening to score. And Gates, another hard ground ball. Scahill in time. So both teams had a 2-out rally in the fourth. Both teams couldn't capitalize. Still 4-1 as we head to the top of the 5th inning here. So Rob Scahill, we've seen Rob play a lot of third base. Last couple of years he was playing shortstop. Here in the Dome they got Nick Kimmer playing short, and of course Nick had played some shortstop and some third base. It's going to be Mike Oliver, Smokey Kruger, and then Tommy the catcher. And Hexx has not hit a home run yet. I would assume their road graders are going to start trying to pump the ball out of here. And the Fat Kids have been playing with the lead all night, but haven't really extended it. And there's a high fly ball. Rodriguez makes the chest cradle catch for out number 1. So I think Hexx is going to be okay. They had a little bit of a down year last year. At times they scored a lot of runs, but their defense was not really up to par. And they just gave up a lot of runs. The Fat Kids made steady progress. And Kruger hits a high fly ball. That'll stay in the yard, and Molina makes the catch. And they finally won an SSA Class A National Championship tournament with the glove out in Carroll Stream. And they're getting ready to step up into the major level. And there's a little slow roller, fair ball down the line. Good job there. Molina got on it in a hurry, and he kept them to a single. So 1 out, 1 on here, or 2 outs for Nick Kimmer. And there's a little flare the other way. Lowry, plenty of room, makes the catch. And, you know, that's interesting. You can see how that net is kind of blowing out. That's where the blower is for the heat. And Lowry had a beat on it. And fortunately, it didn't go a little deeper. It might have hit that netting. And then it would have been a foul ball, and it would have been probably considered dead, I would assume. So that's a little bit of a break there for the Fat Kids. So we're going to head to the bottom of the 5th. It's going to be Macho Soto, Brandon Molina, and Matt Peckus. So the road graders coming up here in the 5th. I would think if they get one or two guys on, we'll see Molina, Peckus, and Noach maybe try to go yard. And there's a hard ground ball. Smoke Kruger makes the play. Yeah, I think the Fat Kids or the Hexx team is going to have a pretty good, should be solid on the infield. And here's Brandon Molina, and he slaps it on the ground. Kimmer makes the play. Nice job there by Greco. He had a stretch out towards home plate there. Kept his feet in line and made a tough catch look relatively easy. Here's Peckus, and I think they're over there discussing whether or not Matt should try to use another home run. Again, the two that they've hit in this game have been solo shots. Matt almost looked like he was going to try to go toward right center, and he walks, and now it's a little different dynamic because at least you got a guy on base. And so they'll courtesy run for Peckus, and it brings up Mysek. So we'll see if Noach tries to go yard here. And he does. If it don't hit the roof, it's gone, and it's way gone. I don't mind that home run because at least he had a guy on base. So they push out to a 5-run lead. That is their third dinger of the game, so they only have one left. Meanwhile, Hexx has got its full complement of home runs, and I believe heading into the 6th, we're going to see some of their bigger hitters start going for it. Lowry, a little ground ball. Kimmer, pitch and catch. Safe. I don't know if Luke has got a grin. I think Luke thinks he might have been out. You can check the tape, as I like to say. But when you run hard, good things happen. Not much of an argument from Hexx. Greco shaking his head a little bit. And it brings up Angelo Feliciano. Yeah, a lot of good players played on that Mudville team. And that's deflected. Nick tried to one-hand it. Ball had a little spin after being deflected. Bring up Alex Rodriguez. So Richie Battistoni trying to pull his outfield in. And this is a big spot. Lowry probably going to easily, well, I shouldn't say easily. They are really squeezing him. Rodriguez hit something hard. Although Lowry being very aggressive with his secondary lead. And Rodriguez, now they got Angie, but he does just get back. Full count. And that's a soft fly ball and easy catch for Brandon. So pulling him in made that play a little easier. But in the inning, they played a pair. As we head to the top of the 6th inning now. Fat Kids by a fin. I made a comment. I didn't think 2 was going to be enough early in the game, and the way Hexx is swinging, who knows? But I just have a hard time believing that that's going to hold up. You got 10, 11, 12 coming up, so the top of the Hexx lineup is guaranteed to hit in the 7th. Should Hexx go 1, 2, 3 here.
Come on, float. Hey, let's go.
So Brian Sloan now, he does have a hit in the ball game. Again, Hexx has not really gone through their lineup that much here in this ball game. And now if you're Angelo, you've got a lead. You want to try to get through this inning. And Angie, I think he forgot he doesn't have a short center. I think he could have made a play on that ball, and he's telling Macho Soto and Alex Rodriguez, that's my fault. I used to tell my pitchers all the time, I'd rather have you go for something, even if you deflect it away from a fielder, rather than have a ball just roll through there because you forgot which side the short center was on. That brings up Brandon. And he gets a base hit. So first two hitters aboard. Nobody out. That was Rory Okray with the base hit off the bench. And now here's Battistoni hitting for Carbs. Carbs will be out of the game. And I'd be shocked if Richie Battistoni didn't try to lean on something. And he does. I don't know if it's got the distance. Molina gets there. Good throw in towards second. Now he overthrows second base, and that allows Rory to go to third. Again, you hate to see that. Even if Kimmer double tags there. And again, there was only one out there, down by 5. They were probably going to be a little conservative, but you let Rory steal 60 feet on you. And there's a flare. Foul there by Curtis. He let it get a little too deep there. And then when he turned his body, he had no chance of hitting that fair. And I think Curtis knew it right on contact. And now he just slaps it on the ground. Knocked out and now kicked by Soto. 2 runs are going to score. So not having a short center coming home to roost here. As the Fat Kids have put a couple up. And they cut the lead to 6-3. And now their road graders are coming up. So 1 out runner on second. Brings Nick to the plate. And Nick tries to go big, but it's going to be way foul. Had the distance, but again, at this point in the game, if you're Angelo, you cannot flatten out to these bigger hitters. He's ahead in the count. My guess is Angie will try to screw with them here. Wouldn't surprise me if he didn't try to throw a fastball. No, he tries to climb the ladder, and he gets a little grounder, and that'll be out number 2. But now you got the danger zone. You got Rice, Cahill, and Greco, 3 guys in a row that can go yard. And it's tough because even if you didn't want to pitch to Al Rice, Cahill's an animal too. See ya. So that's a 2-run homer. And all he did was basically reach out and punch it. And Al Rice goes deep. So that's the first homer for Hexx. They've played it 4 here. And it brings up Scahill. Let's see if Scahill decides to burn a homer here to tie the game up or not. And you knew that ball was gone the minute it left the bat by Al. The only question sometimes is whether these balls are going to scrape the roof. And Scahill hits a bomb, and that ball is gone, and that's over the bleachers. And that ball pretty much he hit it to the highest point of the roof there, and the ball got out of here. Again, the only question there was whether or not it was going to scrape the roof. They got bleachers right outside of the fence there, and he cleared them easily. So brand new ball game, 6-6 in the sixth, a little symmetry. Sign of the devil. Where are the demons when you need them? So here's Mike Greco. As this game is taking a turn here, as Hexx has found its offense, and they figured it out, and they're pounding and pumping the ball up the middle in this inning. 2 outs, and it brings up Mike Oliver. For the Fat Kids right now, you just want to get out of this inning and get back into the dugout and go back to work. And there's a little ground ball, and it takes a little hop on Soto. Soto was playing a little bit further up the middle than he might normally had they had a short center, and couldn't really get in front of it. Had to kind of angle out toward the outfield to get there, and that extra bounce came up and bit him. Here's Kruger, and there's a short fly ball. Molina is there, but in the inning, 5 runs, new ball game as we head now to the bottom of the sixth. Nice kick. So looking ahead to the top of the seventh, it'll be 8, 9, 10 for Hexx. And new pitcher, Brian Sloan. So it's going to be Isaac Barbosa, the 9-hitter, and back to the top with Gates and Macho Soto. And I would think if anybody gets on, Molina, Petkus, and Mysek, one of them is going to try to get that 4th home run. Again, Hexx still has 3. Or excuse me, 2. Because Cahill also hit a home run last inning. So Isaac's job is to find his way on, and he scalds it, but right at Greco, who makes the play. Pretty hard hit ball the other way, but was about head high, and Greco just knocked it down. So top of the Fat Kid order now. And again, I think if you're the Fat Kids, you'd like to go into that 7th with a lead. And Gates finds a way to sneak it between Kimmer and Casano. 1 out hit, good speed aboard. And it brings up Macho Soto. I think if you're a Fat Kid fan, you'd like to see Macho get a hit and then have Brandon maybe hit that 4th and final homer and jump up by 3 again. Again, Brian Sloan, he's been H'ing today on the hill. That's going to be way short. Sometimes it's a little rough to come in relief sometimes when you're sitting there, and even though it's relatively comfortable here, it is kind of cool. And Soto does swing, and he's going to get a break there as Smoke Kruger has been having a great day, bobbles a routine ground ball. And here's Brandon Molina. Now if you're Hexx, these are the 3 guys in the Fat Kid lineup coming up now who can all go yard. 1 out here. And there it's, and oh, he dropped the ball. They had Gates picked off. Brian Sloan. Gates trying to get his hand in there. Casano just couldn't hold on. And pretty much can guarantee you that should Molina walk. So full count, 1 out here. The runners will not be gone. And Molina gives it a ride. It's going to stay in the park, though. Gates will tag. Runners on the corner with 2 outs. Brings up Peckus, so Molina went for it. Hit it way up in the air. Did not scrape the roof. Curtis Ostrom right in front of the wall makes the catch. So now with 2 outs, it's up for the Matt Peckus. So we are all tied up here. Runners will be going on the swing. And that's a little deep. It looks like he's a little worried about Matt. Matt's a little more consistent in terms of driving the ball than Noche is. A little deep, 31. Hexx barking a little bit. And again,
You're good. You're good.
3-2. 2 outs, the runner on first will be gone. And Peckus did not get it, and that's why he took that 3-1 pitch. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of taking the 3-1 pitch. I know you're thinking you're trying to get on base, but like I say, Matt is a little bit more consistent in terms of hitting the ball out of here than Noche is. And that 3-1 pitch was pretty good. So it's going to be Tommy, Nick Kimmer, Brian Sloan. 8, 9, 10 here in the 7th.
Come on, gotta get one here. Let's go. They didn't score. We got 2.
And I think the umpire thought the Fat Kid scored a run, but they did not. So they recorrect the scoreboard. Now the good news if you're the Fat Kids is you will have Noche leading off, and you still got a home run. So if Hexx can't score here, they might be looking at a potential. And there's a ground ball to Soto, and he pulls Noche off the bag. So leadoff man on for Kimmer. Noche trying to convince the umpire he got him on the backhand tag attempt. The umpire said no. So routine ground ball leads to a base runner. And Kimmer pounds it up the middle. And Tommy's going to stay there. So first 2 hitters on. Brings up Brian Sloan.
Come on, Brian. Let's go, Brian.
And let's not forget that Richie Battistoni hit twice for Joe Carbs. He's another guy that has big pop. Brian Sloan is capable of going yard as well. And he just guides it into the outfield. Gates throw to the plate and they'll hold the runner. Bases loaded, nobody out here in the top of the 7th. So the bottom part of the Hexx lineup coming through. Brings up Brandon with Richie Battistoni on deck. So the last 3 innings, Hexx has discovered that open middle. And there's a sky high, it hits the roof. Rodriguez makes the catch. They'll hold the runner 1 out. Now, Richie Battistoni, if you're Richie, you got to be patient here. You don't want to fly open and put it on the carpet, because on a ground ball right at a fielder, he is a double play candidate. 1 out, bases juiced. And Richie does. Barbosa steps on it. And now it goes off. 1 run is going to score. 2 runs are going to score.
Yeah, Richie!
Should have been a double play. Instead, it turns into 2 runs. It took too long for Isaac to run to third base there. By the time he did that, he was thrown across his body. What he should have done is just stood up and either thrown the ball home, or he should have went to second and then first. And there's a little chopper, and Curtis is going to beat that out. Runner's on the corner. So now he calls a chop. What did he call there?
Because he distracted the shortstop.
So they called interference.
Have you ever heard that?
So apparently the umpire felt the runner on second interfered with the fielder trying to make the play. You might have heard Curtis saying you can't stop in front of a fielder. If you just run past them, you're okay. And so as a result of that, and I think what the Hexx guys are, the other Hexx guys are saying, my bad, 8-6. Do or die bottom of the 7th. Mysek, Lowry, and Feliciano. So the Fat Kids need 2 to keep the game going. 3, they walk them off. Anything less, and the Hexx, who was trailing the entire ball game, took their first lead in the top of the 7th, will get out of here with a win. And again, the big thing that changed the game was Hexx started to pound the ball up the middle, and that got him going a little bit offensively. And Notes just goes ahead and uses up that 4th home run. And it'll make it 8-7. So Fat Kids out of home runs. Lowry, Feliciano, and Alex Rodriguez. Anybody gets on, it'll be Isaac Barbosa. So 1-run ball game here in the Dome. So Luke Lowry, young hitter, there are no more home runs for the Fat Kids, so Luke is going to have to stay within the confines of the ballpark now. And he hits a little roller to Scahill. Good strong throw. Out number 1. It brings up Angelo Feliciano. For the Fat Kids, you need a base runner. And Angie up the middle to Nick. Pitch and catch, 2 outs. So the Fat Kids down to their last out, and Alex Rodriguez. Now they have been squeezing Alex. And even though They cannot hit a home run over the fence. They're playing him so shallow, if he runs one to the wall, could be a triple with a bobble, it could be an inside the park. And here, where if you're Alex, you have to understand they're cheating you. You don't have to go big. If he goes hard down, say, the left field line, Curtis is a good 50 feet off the line there, really squeezing his gap. And there's a little flare, and Curtis can't make the catch. Looked like he was going to slide underneath it. Couldn't make the catch, so they're still alive. Isaac Barbosa hit a rocket here at Mike Greco. His last at bat. If you're Isaac right now, you just need a base hit. You want to push that tying run over to second or maybe third, depending on the type of hit, and give Scott Gates, your leadoff man, a shot. And that's a little flare. Scahill, long run, makes the catch. And Hexx comes back, steals it, scoring 2 runs in the top of the 7th. Took their first lead. They hold on in the bottom half. They win the ball game 8-7. Pretty good ball game. Again, the big factor, Fat Kids only had 9 guys. They were missing Ian Langston and Nick Jones, and Hexx did a lot of business right up the center of the field through the infield. So we're going to be back next week for the playoffs, and they will be recorded live. So tune in next week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe out there. Thanks for tuning in.